Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here, or you've been here before but haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We're dangerously close to 10,000 subscribers, so I want to thank everybody who has already subscribed, but I want to pre-thank you ahead of time for those who are going to subscribe. We're going to get to 10,000 before the end of this season. It'd be fantastic. And also hit the thumbs up button for me and drop your comments. Definitely love to hear your thoughts and feelings about anything Knicks. Okay, doing this recap the next day after, which is an advantage sometimes. I was able to rewatch a lot of the game to assimilate a lot of the feelings that the fans have and other commentators have, and I may have an interesting different wrinkle on the whole thing. I actually found this road trip to be incredibly encouraging, at the same time that it was incredibly devastating. We lost Jalen Brunson in the first game of this against the Lakers. He's down, he's out. He'll be gone for Shams reported. He won't return till late March, maybe early April. I predicted March 28th, which might be a little tight. I could see early April as well. It'd be nice to have him back in time for the Cleveland Cavaliers game, for sure. Some of the things I got highlights for you guys. We're going to break this down. A lot has happened. I mean, on this road trip, Mikal Bridges came out airing, not dirty laundry, that's a bad term for it, but basically some issues that he had with the way Thibs has been using the starters and the bench. So that became a big topic, a huge topic, especially since we've been talking about that here on Into the Knicks-Verse for a while. And then it was the revenge game against Golden State and Draymond Green, who basically was an idiot. He said something incredibly stupid about Karl-Anthony Towns in a previous game, that he ducked out. He didn't want to play against Jimmy Butler. Meanwhile, he was in Los Angeles at a very dear friend's funeral who died from cancer. So, and he never truly really apologized for that. So there was that build up to that. There was, there was 2 overtime games. A lot happened. The Knicks had to figure out who they could be without their captain. At times, even yesterday, they looked rudderless at times without their captain, but then they had to kind of figure it all out, and it actually worked through Karl-Anthony Towns when he finally stepped up. Not finally, remove that word. When he stepped up and tried to take command of the ship. The Knicks were even able to tie this game 88-88. It was a low-scoring affair, and the Knicks played defense. The Knicks have been unbelievable on defense since Mitch Robinson has returned, and it's only improving as it goes on. Even though Mitch last night, like 4 minutes into his first stint, he looked gassed. 4 minutes, he looked gassed. So it's going to be a process for him to get into game shape. But again, this had playoff intensity. That's what I loved about it. It had playoff intensity, and they were without their best player, and they did not back down in any way, shape, or form, except for the hugging at the end of the game. But let me tell you, I think that was more on Draymond's part. He made an attempt to try and kind of wash the whole situation away by going up to the Knicks and doing a little hug fest with the guys that were still on the floor. And then in his post-game comments, even though he made a couple of stupid statements in the post-game comments, but basically he was praising the team. Hard-working team, really talented team. And he said, Cat stepped up big time, was his take on it. He's trying to make the whole thing go away in his way. I did wish that somebody had stood up to him, other than Cat. Someone had stood up for him to his face, but it's okay. It's okay. We're not here to win playground battles. We're here to win the chip, and that team has won the chip, and we have to figure out how to get our own. So I loved everything that happened. It was an incredible game to watch. Many of these games lately have been really exciting and interesting to watch. Just tough as a Knicks fan, because I take these things very intensely. I didn't sleep well last night. I was tight after this game, the loss. And I wasn't able to do the recap last night, which is okay. I think it gave me a day of perspective. And like I said, I rewatched part of the game as well. So we're going to get into all of this. Let's go. New York Knicks drop the 5th game of this West Coast road trip, 97-94. They return 2-3. Could have been an unbelievable win if they had pulled it out. It could have been a great feel-good moment for this team and for the fans. But I don't want us to lose track of the positive things that happen. A loss is a loss. No way, shape, or form about it. It sucks when you lose. But this team showed tremendous heart. It was a tremendous, valiant effort. Even when they got down to this team right now with Jimmy Butler, they're a very different team now with Jimmy Butler. When they got down 8 points late, I think it was 9 points in that fourth quarter, they did not let go of the reins. They kept battling back. And Karl-Anthony Towns was a key reason that they were able to do that with, and also the team defense. The team defense of this New York Knicks has been unbelievable as of late. In the last 8 games, in fact, let's get to this. I'll show you before we even get to anything else. Here we go. Last 8 games, the New York Knicks have the 4th best defense in the NBA. 8 games. Now, they're 4-4 in that time. 4-4 in that period because their offense has also been struggling. Right now, offensively, they are down to, what are they? 28th. 109.4 offense, about a 109.4 defense. So they're just almost even in net ratings. I think these are rounded off numbers here. That's what it is. But in the last 8 games, so that's a good sign that they've improved defensively. The offense, though, has stagnated. They're just not hitting their buckets when they need to. What are they doing here? Their efficiency field goal percentage is down to 51.6%. That's not good. That's what, in the middle? What is that? 51? No, not even. It's down below. It's down. Look at it. It's 20. It's the third worst. Third worst. So offense is now the problem. Before it was defense was the problem. Now we got offense is the problem. And we're also missing Jalen Brunson. In fact, for half of these games, we've missed Jalen Brunson. So how do you replace someone who's averaging 26.3 points per game? It's not that easy. So it has to be spread around. Other players have to take it upon themselves. We saw Mikal Bridges was incredible in Portland. Last night it was Cat with 29 points. They're going to have to find a way to deliver some points. But some players are not doing their job offensively, and we're going to get into that as well. Let's get back to this. So, I do want to point this out. Tommy Beer, you guys definitely should follow him if you're not following him. It was lost in the loss, but Deuce McBride played as well defensively against Steph as could be humanly expected against a superhuman shooter. In the 39 possessions in which Deuce was the primary defender, and let me tell you, I rewatched most of this game, and this is absolutely accurate. On Steph last night, Curry was 2 for 7 from the floor, 1 for 6 from downtown, 0 assists, 1 turnover, and Deuce even blocked his shot once out on the three-point line. So Deuce is coming into his own defensively right now. I'm so excited about what he's doing defensively. Let me get this over here. I was going to pull this up, but I'll bring this up afterwards. Outstanding game for him in terms of his assignment. At times, though, I wish that he was a better floor general offensively, and that's definitely something that it can only come with time. And now he's going to have at least another 2 weeks of him being the starting point guard of the Knicks. And here's this goes to my whole thing about why I'm feeling very encouraged by all this. Right now, this team is being challenged, and they are rising up and meeting the challenge. They won 2 games, a game against the Kings, which easily they could have lost that game, and they went to overtime against the Trailblazers in their home arenas on a tough West Coast trip after losing Jalen Brunson. And they win in overtime, and the Trailblazers are not, anything to sneeze at. They definitely can battle. They can battle, and they showed it in that game, and the Knicks were able to overcome that. This game, the Knicks were right there. They could have had this game except for some brutal late-game turnovers. One was by Cat, and the other one was by Mikal Bridges, and I think even Deuce may have had one. So there were 2 or 3 crucial turnovers in that last minute of play that could have swung the game either way. So they swung the game away from the Knicks, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because this was a game that the Knicks could have pulled off right there. It was right there for them. Now I want to show you something else. Actually, I'm going to hold off on this. We're going to get back to this. If Josh Hart was scoring at his season average, Knicks would be leading the Warriors. This was tweeted out between the third and fourth quarters. Instead, he has 0 points. Game is in the fourth quarter. Thibs and Josh just had a very heated timeout discussion. That was another humongous thing. And on a sideline, like, total yell fest. And we'll get to this. Let me show you this right now.
As a player is always raving about what he gives him.
Look at that.
Giving him a little something extra there.
Well, that is 100%.
Look at that. They are barking at each other. And you hear Richard Jefferson say, hey, this stuff happens a lot.
Look, you're struggling, you're short, you're down on the road. Yeah, everyone should be fired up.
All right.
Happy about where you are right now.
It's over yet? So glad he missed that. Okay, here it is. My takeaway on this. Okay. My takeaway on that is Thibs was basically, and actually a shout out to Chuck D, because I heard his call into KFTV last night. Actually, I listened to it this morning. He's right. Thibs is basically saying, this is my team. You want to bark at me? I'm going to bark back louder at you. And I don't need to stand up and get into your face. I don't need to invade your space to tell you who is the leader of this team. That was Thibs calling it out. Basically saying, because it's also to everybody on this team. This is my team. We either win or lose my way. My way. So this is interesting. Now, I also read an article by Steve Popper, who, even though Popper can't, he said he has heard that Thibs and Hart have gotten into other arguments, just not in the view of the cameras or the fans. So maybe when they're like working out, practice, or in the locker room, I don't know. But this is not an unusual encounter between these two, except that it happened on the sideline in front of the cameras. So those are very interesting dynamics that are going on. And right after that, so look what happened here. So Knicks are down 9. Right after that, the Knicks went on a 13-4 run to tie the game 88-88. And it was right there for them to win it. So it actually sparked them to get their shit together and hustle. And they did. The defense was fabulous. They only allowed 4 points to this Golden State Warriors team for the next 6 minutes. Outstanding. Now, let's go to this other video. Shout out to New York Basketball. Oh, wait. Shout out to New York Basketball who put this video up. They compiled the whole dynamic. There was a moment before that timeout in that encounter and then a moment after. So this is nice because it tells the whole complete story here. Let's get to it here. Where is it? Here we go. So you can see Hart. You could see Hart and Thibs were like discussing something from cross court. Now they come in to the huddle. Hart's all now remember, Hart is frustrated. He scored no points this game. So right here. Okay, what? That's what started. What do you want me to do? So I don't know. What do you want me to do? Every fucking time. Something, I don't know what it is. I'm not a lip reader. I could do my own funny thing, but so then that was it. And now here's afterwards. He comes over, he talks to his coach. The love between the two of them, you know, as player coach cannot be measured, obviously. And he said afterwards, I love Thibs. And Thibs basically said the same thing about Josh Hart as well. So to them, it's not a big deal. But what it helped do was sharpen the team's focus. And man, did they start playing ball. Look at that closeout by Hart right there on Draymond. Nice. Draymond had a huge wide open look earlier in this game. Not anymore. Not anymore. So this is the beginning of that part. All right. Even that stuff's going on. And this team was still right there. They could have pulled this win out. This team, imagine like this. They are in the process of building a championship mentality. And sometimes you got to go through some aches and pains to do that. That is what that represented to me last night. Remember, there's no Jalen Brunson. If Jalen Brunson's there on the sideline, I don't think that argument happens at all. But maybe that's a good thing that he's not there for this. This is what I'm saying. Right now, Brunson not being there to, basically mask the warts that this team has offensively, especially in crunch time, as we have seen. Without him around, man, we stagnate. So it was forcing other guys to make plays, which they did to a great extent. They were able to make some plays, and then it also helps air out some grievances or some issues and some conflicts that the players may need to shake out. All of this a month and a half before the playoffs begin. Where are we? Yeah, about 6 weeks, about 5 weeks before the playoffs begin. There's only, 16 games left? Yes, 16 games left in the season. So this is, I think this is a very positive road trip. And if Jalen Brunson is able to come back like March 28th, 30th, or April 4th or whatever, he's able to come back, play a good 5-6 games before the end of the season, get back into like game shape. This will, I think this is going to help this team when it comes to playoff time, because they are now playing games that really feel like they matter. That game against the Lakers, that was a total playoff atmosphere game. The Clippers game as well, and I mean, even though the Kings are not, they're floundering, and they were without Sabonis, they still have players. It's still their home arena, and the Knicks, we're playing without their main guys, so they had to figure some things out on the fly. It's starting to happen. Now, do I have some issues about certain things? Obviously, of course I do. Of course I do, and we'll get into those in a little bit. But this is a big issue with Josh Hart right now. And Tommy Beer, shout out to him. Over the Knicks' first 50 games this season, Josh Hart shot 56.3% from the floor, almost 35% from downtown, 81% from the free throw line, and he played 37.6 minutes per game. 37.6 minutes per game. But over the last 16 games, Hart is shooting only less than 45%, less than 29% from three, less than 73% from the free throw line, and he's playing more minutes, 39 minutes. That is nuts, man. That is some nutty stats right there. And then let's go look at these stats here. So this is the road trip. Josh Hart, but I took Brunson's numbers out. The road trip, Josh Hart is averaging 40 minutes a game on the bum knee. That's obviously barking. But he did shoot 37.5% on this road trip, except for last night, which is atrocious. OG Anunoby also averaging 40 minutes a game. He is averaging 20.2 points per game. He has stepped in. When I said, hey, how are the Knicks going to make up those 26 points? Well, they're not quite doing it because they're not averaging what they would normally average when Brunson's in the game. But what they are doing now is spreading it around. 20 points a game for OG Anunoby, 19 for McCall, and Deuce is at 11.6 points per game. So the Knicks, unfortunately, 2-3 in that road trip, but OG shooting 37, almost 38% from three, but under 40% overall. That is a concern. Now, the minutes might be an issue here. Now, what can you do? I mean, what can you do? When you look at last night's box score, I want to show you this particular part of it. And then we're going to get to the highlights. So this is basically the game all the way up until there was just 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. This is right after Moses Moody, who I love. I love this guy's game. Warriors are lucky to have him. He's definitely delivering for them right now, especially last night. He was probably the difference in the game for the Warriors offensively against the Knicks. But here, right here, so the game was tied 88-88. As you can see right there in the bottom corner there, in the bottom right corner, it's a -2 and a +- because they had just scored on Moses Moody. He was able to slip between OG Anunoby, who was guarding, I forgot who he was guarding, and Mikal Bridges. Mikal kind of like paused for a second, and Moses took that advantage and just slipped in for an easy layup, pretty much, at a crucial moment in this game. But one thing I want you to look at are those minutes. Now, the Knicks went 9 deep last night. Mitch, Shamet, Payne, and Achua came off the bench. Every player played double-digit minutes, which is good. 10-something minutes for Precious, 10-something minutes for Cameron, 20 minutes for Shamet, and Mitch, who did look gassed at times during this game. By this point, I played 16-something minutes. But look at the rest of the guys. 35 minutes for Deuce. There are almost 36 minutes for Mikal. 27 for Towns because he got into foul trouble. And that was a huge thing. It was a terrible foul called early in the first quarter? It was just Draymond doing his shenanigans, getting his arms tied up with Towns, and he like flails around. He totally sold it, and he got a third foul for Towns. But look at OG's minutes. 36 minutes, and Josh Hart, 36 minutes. Okay? This is with 2 minutes and change left in the game. Look at the minutes for the Warriors here. 30 minutes for Butler. 20 for Santos, who started the forward. Under 30 minutes for Draymond. Moses, 31 minutes. And Curry, 32 minutes. They went 10 deep. Even Looney got in this game. Buddy Hield, who was 1 of 7. 1 of 7 in this game. He played 14 and a half minutes. Quinton Post, who is a 52nd pick in the second round, played almost 20 minutes here. And Kuminga, a little over 20 minutes. Kuminga was a -10. And Buddy Hield was a -7. Now, the rest of their bench, they held their own. Quinton was a +2. Gary Payton Jr. was a +13. He always plays some good defense. He was 3 of 5 from the field at that point. And then Looney, pretty much even. But the minutes, that's what I want you guys to look at right here. Look at these minutes. Hart played 6 more minutes by that point than Butler. OG Anunoby played 15 more minutes than Santos by this point. Towns, okay. Draymond played 3 more minutes, 2.5 minutes more than Towns. He's the only one. Bridges played almost 5 minutes more than Moody, and Deuce played 3 minutes more than Steph at that point. And what happened to the Knicks in that fourth quarter? Very late in those last 2 minutes, they couldn't make buckets. They couldn't make buckets, even though they did end up scoring 6 more points in those last 2.5 minutes. Actually, it was a 3-pointer at the end of the buzzer, so they only really scored 3 more points in crunch time there. That to me is because of tired legs. That was what this reeks of to me. And I get it, you're like, oh, but wait, but we sucked. The bench only scored 4 points. This bench only got so outscored. It's not about what the bench provides in terms of scoring. It's about the rest the actual for the body that the bench can provide to the starters so they can be sharper, especially in game-winning moments. Remember, there's no Brunson here to save our ass. This has to change. This has to change. And where the fuck was Tyler Kolek? Where the fuck was he? On a team campaign was atrocious. Look at him. 10 minutes, 0 for 4. He's a chucker. He did get 1 assist, 1 rebound. He got credit for a block here. He played some okay defense here and there. But where was he? At least Kolek can organize the offense. He is one of the best passers, rookie passers that are in the game right now. He was a two-time assist leader in the NCAA. And we drafted him because he was more NBA ready. Meanwhile, if he's not playing now, when the hell is he going to play? This is the shit about Thibs that just makes me insane. And who's there? Who's there to talk to Thibs? Why isn't anyone else, all his other coaches, talking to him about this? Even Rick Brunson, bro. How about you talk to Thibs about this? Get this kid in the game. He might give us something. Might. Look at what fucking Kerr is able to get. He's able to get productive minutes from this guy. And then this guy, Santos, I mean, who is he? Second rounder, 55th pick in 2022. Now, I think if Ariel Hawkporty was available, Thibs would have gone to him. But we've got guys that can give us some minutes, that can save the legs of our starters. All right. And shout out to the Red Storm St. John. I love the Johnnies. They were a huge team of mine, especially when I was young coming up. Shout out to them. They're I think the 2nd seed in the NCAA tournament. Fantastic. Congratulations for winning your first Big East tournament title since 2000. Excellent. I mean, guys, I'm hyped for that. Okay. Now, this is the Heat game. We'll come back to, we'll talk about this because the Heat game is coming up. Miami Heat injury report Monday versus the Knicks. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. Alec Burks is out. Nikola Jokic is out. Jovic. Duncan Robinson is available. Hayward Heisman is available. And Drew Smith is out. The Heat are on a 7-game losing streak. Let's make it 8. They play tomorrow night. All right. Got stats. Let's go to the highlights. Here we go. First bucket was Towns dunking basically over Jimmy Butler right there. Nice little statement immediately. But here comes Moody. Swish from the corner. Here comes Towns, man. Towns got off to a really nice start in this game. I mean, he played a good game. It's just unfortunate that he got into foul trouble. That's really the main issue that we had here with him. In that first quarter, Towns delivered 11 points, and Mikal Bridges also picked up on his tremendous game with Portland. So he carried that over into the first quarter here. He was 4 of 6 in that first quarter, delivered 8 points, and got 5 rebounds. Towns with 5 rebounds. The Knicks out-rebounded the Warriors 14-11 in that first quarter. But the main issue here that happened in this game, and it basically started early in the fourth quarter. So the Knicks shot 50% from the three-point line in the first quarter, right? They end the quarter down 32-31, okay? But only put up 4 three-point attempts. Only 4. The Warriors put up 10 additional three-point attempts. 14. Now, they shot 40. They didn't shoot as well as we did. They shot 43%, but 43% is pretty damn good. And when you get an additional 4 buckets, that's 12 points that the Knicks have to make up in other ways. Now, they're not making up for it on the free throw line. They're making up for it in hustle, in the paint. Oh, that's another. Was that Moody? I think that was Moody again. It's a big one. So here, look, the Knicks battling. They got the lead, 27-26. Now it's 29-26, but then they tied it up. Coming down. Nice little give and go. Score right there. That was the last buckets. And then this just lucky chuck. Look at this. Jimmy Butler banks it in. That was brutal. So now they go in down 32-31. But it was looking good. The Knicks were fighting. The defense was right there. That was the highest scoring quarter in the entire game. Right? Yes. Yes. No team scored more than 22 points in a quarter the rest of the game. Second quarter was 22-19. Third quarter, that was Warriors won that one. The next one, third quarter, Knicks won it 22-21. And then the final quarter was 22-22. That's how tight this game was throughout. The bench points was a big disparity, 26-4. There we go. What's this? Oh. Well, that's Steph Curry, man. It's a beast. All right, that was a tough moment right there. Easy bucket for them off of forced turnover. And then we come back and hit this three. Boom! The Knicks kept answering back with some big buckets here and there, even though the Knicks did not shoot enough threes, which is really the main reason why they lost this game. The Golden State Warriors, they put up 41 three-point attempts. Now, that's what they normally do. They put up a lot of three-point attempts, but they shot like for shit. They shot under 32% from the three-point line. But they made 13 three-pointers. The Knicks shot 37.5%, but only attempted 24 three-point shots. You're just not going to win in the modern NBA only attempting 24 three-point shots. The Knicks have to do a better job, make a more concerted effort to hunt threes, especially the corner ones. Guys driving right here. Even though Towns was able to finish that, Hart should have stayed in the corner, and Towns should have gotten him the ball in the corner and shoot it. Hart did not score this game at all. 0 for 7 in 38.5 minutes of play. That's what I said. If Josh Hart had just scored, even just below his season average, Knicks win this game. That's how close this game was, man. Look at this one. Ooh. Nice. Fucking Steph. But look at Towns, man. There it is. That's what I want to see. I want to see Towns feeding his players more, especially off drives. For a period, there were a lot of high pick and rolls with Towns and Bridges that were working effectively. Here comes Deuce. Cutting through. Look at this. Left hand. Beautiful. I think that was Buddy Hield who was guarding him. It was. Mitch, this probably was his worst game since he's been back, but he still had an impact, even though he looked labored. His conditioning definitely is not there yet at all. Not what we're used to. But his defensive knowledge is so, it's at such a high level that even when his body can't quite give him the effort that he needs to give, he still understands how he can impact the game positively from a defensive standpoint. So look how close this game is. It's 77-75 right here, beginning the fourth quarter. And then the Warriors went on a run here. That was Moody again. So now the Knicks are down 9. Look at that. Look at Towns just battling in the paint. Everyone draping all over him. No foul call. Here's another. Here Towns drives again. Look at that. Kisses it off the glass. Now it's 86-83. Coming around, battling through the screen. Deuce just shadowing him. But, Steph is an amazing finisher. One thing that barely gets acknowledged about his game. So now we're down 5. Just under 5 minutes. And then, boom, Cat shoots this. Beautiful. Now, some people had an issue with the other 2 3-pointers that Cat shot after this. I did not have, because they could have gone down. Either one of 2 of those goes down. This game is very different. I think it was a good, smart move to do. Here comes McCall. Little turnaround. Fade away. Sinks it. Ties the game. 2:50 left. Here comes the play I was talking about. Ball goes to Moses. McCall's on him. McCall played a good deep. And no, he slips between the 2. And that was it, pretty much. Now we come down. We have an empty possession. They don't show the turnovers. That was the first turnover that happened was then. And then another turnover. And then another turnover. And then, of course, Draymond fucking Green has to hit that shot and doing his stupid night shit. And then this is it. The end. We'll go over the stats and we'll wrap this up soon. OG Anunoby, 23 points for him. OG Anunoby of late has been unbelievable for the Knicks. As I mentioned, he's averaging 20.2 points per game in the last 5 games, but in the last 8 games, he's averaging 21.5 points per game. And he's shooting 40% from the three-point line in the last 8 games. Beautiful for him. Getting 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, almost 2 steals per game during that 8-game span. The Knicks defense has catapulted itself to another level right now. As I showed you earlier, I mean, the defensive rating in those last 8 games is outstanding. 109.4 for 4th best in the NBA behind the Pistons. The Raptors at 105. Who would have thought that? And the Houston Rockets at 108.7. And the Cavaliers at 109.7 right behind the Knicks right there. Josh Hart, look at that, a goose egg in 39 minutes of play. Deuce McBride, 19 points for him in 38 minutes. 29 points for Towns, 12 rebounds for him. 23 points for Anunoby, 19 points for Mikal Bridges. I wish Mikal had been a little more aggressive offensively in terms of looking for his own shots. He did end up with 6 rebounds and 3 assists, but 5 rebounds I think were in the first quarter. Were they? Or was I misreading that? But look at Precious Achiuwa, man. Let's talk about Precious again. He is such a liability offensively out there. If you watched the game, you saw that play where basically the Knicks worked the possession, so they got Precious an open look with his left foot was in the paint. It was maybe a 10-footer. Air ball. Totally went under the rim. Air ball. I couldn't believe that. He blew another easy one earlier on, and it starts hurting the team because then I think the other players start losing faith in him, which is the worst. That's a kiss of death. There was a breakaway, a fast break. The ball was in Payne's hands, and Precious was ahead of Payne. If Payne had just fed him the ball right away, Precious might have taken it and dunked it. But because of the previous ineptitude offensively, I think Payne decided not to put Precious in a situation, pulled the ball back out to the three-point line, and then the fast break was dead, and the Knicks ended up with 0 points on that possession. Another possession happened like that. The ball, I think it was a pass, and the ball just went right through Precious's hands. Now, that did happen to Mitch as well. At one point, Hart just threw a fucking speedball at Mitch. Just went right through his hands as well. But Precious, it's happening way too often. And look, only 1 rebound. And at times he looked like he didn't even know where to be on the court. That's a difficult thing. Because if you're not going to give us any offense, give us some defense. This was a bad game for Precious. A bad game for Payne as well. Even though actually he did give us some decent defense. I think that was mostly in that second quarter. He's a chucker, 0 for 4. I mean, one of those 3-pointers hits, this game, who knows? The Knicks could steal this game. Maybe Cat, uncorks another 3 there and it just drains it. This game was right there. But in the end, I think it's going to pay off. These are the building blocks right now, tonight, or I guess when they flew back home, or just early this morning, back to New York. I'm sure all of these things are playing around in their heads. They know they were so close to coming back 3-2. They could have been 4-1. Could have been. So they, even without Brunson, I think this is going to pay off as time goes on. Shamet, actually, even though he was only 1 for 4, he played very impactful minutes. Even though he was a -8 in plus-minus, Payne was a -6. Mitch, +4, even though, again, like I said, he didn't play that great a game, but he got 1 block, picked up 5 rebounds. And in the starters, only Mikal Bridges and Deuce were in the plus columns, +3 for Deuce, +2 for Bridges, -5 for Josh Hart. There's a game. The game was lost by 3 points. That's it. Maybe Josh Hart shouldn't even have been on the court in those last couple of minutes. Maybe Thibs should have gone with Shamet. It should have been Deuce, Shamet, Towns, McCall, and OG Anunoby to close this game out. That was a mistake that Thibs made, and possibly that argument that they had played into it. If he felt that if he benched Hart for those last for crunch time, those last 2 minutes, that might come off as him being petty. These are the problems with all these issues right now. You're not making decisions in terms of what's going to win the game. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's possible that that's what happened. Here are the Warriors stats. Look, Draymond 9 points, and was it 4 of those were in the last minute. 2 free throws, which is they were terrible foul call. 2 free throws, and then the layup that he made. That was it. He had only 5 points up until that moment. Jimmy Butler was totally neutralized. He was 3 of 11. 11 points for him. Did pick up 7 assists, though. And Steph, always amazing, 28 points, but he needed 20 shot attempts to give you 28 points. He shot, what did he shoot for the game? He shot 30% from the three-point line. That's not Steph, man. But Moses Moody, he was the difference. Look at how efficient he was. 50% from the three-point line, 4 of 8, 7 of 14 overall, 18 points for him. And Kuminga, in his 20 minutes of play, gave 10 points. But most of those were pretty they weren't impactful points as well. And you can see, look, let's go to the team comparisons here. So the Knicks shot better from the three-point line than the Warriors, but they attempted 17 less three-point shots. That is something they're going to have to fix. And the other really crucial thing, even though the Knicks only committed 13 turnovers, it's the type of turnovers they committed that were horrific. They allowed 19 points to be conceded off of those turnovers, and they only picked up 8 points on the other end, so they were a minus 11 in points conceded off turnovers. And that really is the difference in the game, because they won the points in the paint battle. They lost the fast break points battle, which I thought that was going to happen in this game, maybe get kind of even, but actually they were a net 4 between those two categories, fast break points and points in the paint. The rebounding was pretty close, 49 to 45. But the free throws, the Knicks went to the free throw line only 13 times. The Warriors went 22 times to the free throw line. They went almost as many times to the free throw line as the Knicks attempted three-point shots. Okay, thank you so much for watching this. This was a long one, had a lot to discuss. I do think that there could be a lot of positives that can come out of this experience, these last 5 games. The Knicks were able to figure out how to win without Brunson. They found that Mikal Bridges can deliver some big points and some big minutes. Towns showed that he's not a pussy cat, that he's a big ass cat. Like the guy can ball. He's a beast. He showed that he can beast when he needs to. 29 points for him. Just has to stay away from those dumb foul trouble. That's an issue for him. Always has been. Josh Hart, I think the knee is really bothering him, and ironically, he's playing more minutes now than he has throughout the season. So these are Thibs issues. OG Anunoby has become a beast of late, averaging 20 points a game. Fantastic for him. And Deuce McBride is he's a winner. When he's out on the court, he and Mitch have spearheaded a whole new Knicks defensive approach, which has basically brought the Knicks up into the top 4 in defensive rating in the last 8 games. That's outstanding. Let's see if that can keep going. I think these are things that once Brunson returns, they can fold the positives of this experience and with the positives that Brunson just brings onto the court. And possibly, I'm going to put this out there, we may see a shift in Thibs' approach because the eye shows it when you watch the games. When Towns is on the court, you're going to have to see Deuce as the primary point guard on the court. Brunson can play off ball, but I'd rather see Brunson rest. So you have Towns and Deuce together and Mitch and Brunson together. Those are the pairings that I'd like to see. You're not going to see it for long stretches, but for nice stretches in the game, maybe 8-minute stretches here and there. That's what I think that could be a winning formula for this team moving forward. Because when you play Brunson and Cat together, you put a lot of strain on the other three guys to hold it down defensively. And if they're not cooking offensively, you're just trading buckets. So when you need stops, that's when you have Mitch out there. But then you need the offense, right? So then you have Brunson. But then when you need to just kind of stay afloat and not lose ground and maybe suffocate the other team, then you have Deuce out there, point of attack defender, and then you need some offense. You have a Cat back there. So it's going to be interesting to see if Thibs starts going to that, but he's not going to be able to do it until Brunson's back. So that's something that I noticed. It'd be interesting to see that develop further on. Okay, thank you so much for watching this. My name is George. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button for me, and I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.